going on, everybody? You are live with Osiris. Welcome to the Author's Lounge. The world is filled with storytellers, and I, along with my guests, are here today in the Author's Lounge to help educate and inspire the young generation of writers and creators. Now, my guests are professionals in publishing, writers from a wide range of formats, and successful entertainers. They will provide beneficial advice on what to do and what not to do on your path to success. So, without further ado, I'll present to you our next guest. Let's go. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to tune in to today's episode. I must say that when it comes to being able to provide a platform for people to get their voices out, or to just provide a message, I feel so fortunate and so blessed to be one of many people across the world who are able to produce something of that magnitude to support and educate and inspire the younger generation of writers and creators, but more importantly, just inspiring people. And my next guest is just that. I'm not going to bore you all with an extensive bio because I want to hop right into it with this next guest. But he is someone who is just a powerful person. I had a moment to speak with him before this episode, before we shot this, just had a chance to talk to him on a personal note, and what he's doing and what he represents, not only for people like my son, but for people across the world, is so powerful. He has a book out. It's called Born Different, and that is a book that I certainly want to get into as well. So without further ado, I present to you the wonderful Mr. Amit Ghose. How you doing, my brother?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor
Yes,
to be
sir.
here.
Yeah, man. No, thank you, thank you. I was excited, so excited that I recorded a video, a little short video saying, "Hey, I have Amit coming on." I don't know how to pronounce his last name at the time, but I was really excited, and so let's hop right into it, man. What I was talking about, for those who may be curious, is that my son has a rare, I don't like to say disease, but a rare skin disease that affects him and him physically, and it takes a certain type of tenacity to grow into that. And for my man here, he has all types of inspirational messages. And just this morning, or this afternoon for you, but this morning for me, I watched one of your videos just telling people, encouraging them to never give up. What has your journey been like, man? Just from the startup to where you are currently, with what you had to endure and how you overcame those obstacles to be where you are today.
Yeah, thank you. So I was born with this rare genetic condition called neurofibromatosis type
Hmm.
1. It's a condition that causes tumors to grow on nerves. And for me, those tumors grew on my face, making me look very visibly different. So I couldn't hide my condition, I couldn't hide my disability. And throughout school, early memories of school, it was very lonely, very
Hmm.
painful because not a lot of people wanted to sit next to me, not a lot of people wanted to speak to me. Some because they were curious, others because they just felt scared. I always used to be terrified of physical education lessons because the teacher would say, "Go pair up with somebody, go find a partner," and everyone would run to their friends. They would run to the most athletic person in the classroom, and I would be there waiting for someone to come and pair up with me.
Hmm.
And I knew things had to change, and I knew I couldn't always be like this. And one of the things I used to really enjoy was playing cricket.
Hmm.
But I never had the courage to go and play in front of other children because again I was scared. And I remember one summer's day I mustered up this courage to go and ask a group of boys if I can play with them, and they laughed, they mocked me, but reluctantly they handed me the ball. And when they did, and I played really well. And I went from Amit, the guy with the funny face, to Amit, the boy who plays cricket. So, step one of confidence, step one of
Hmm.
resilience is embracing our personality.
Hmm.
Now, I went through this throughout my life, and I tried to use that as a tool to be confident. But I never really accepted the left hand side of my face. And one of the big reasons for that is in year seven, when I was about 11 or 12 years old, I had my eye removed. I had my left eye surgically removed. So what I'm wearing now in this video that you're seeing is a prosthesis. It's an artificial eye, which can come out. I had the eye removed and I had to wear an eye patch, and it was the lead up of Halloween. Lead up of Halloween, and everyone was talking about buying Halloween masks. Everyone was talking about going to trick and treat, and someone looked at me, a group of boys looked at me and said, "You don't need a Halloween mask. You have a permanent Halloween mask on your face." And that comment caused so much distress to me that I could never really accept the left hand side of my face. I always used to hide it. I always used to take pictures from the right hand side of my face. But fast forward a few years, I went to college, I graduated, I got a job, I got married, which came with its own challenges, which is probably another podcast in itself, but that came with its challenges. But when I got married and my wife and I were talking on the phone, she was from India, I was from England. And I used to video call her a lot, Cyrus, and I used to hold the phone from the right hand side of my face, hiding the left hand side of my face. And one day she said to me, "Amit, if I marry you, I'm not going to marry half of your face. I'm going to marry all of you. So stop hiding half of your face and own it." And it was at that point I knew that, I have to own it. I have to accept who I am. And we live in this world now. We live in this world where everybody is constantly seeking validation externally. Everybody wants to be liked by somebody else. Everybody wants to be loved by somebody else. And we don't seek internal validation enough. We don't seek to be liked internally enough. So a big lesson for me was self-acceptance from that incident. And I learned that, to be confident, to be resilient, we have to learn to accept who we are. Then again, fast forward a few years, my wife moves to England. My background was actually sales. I used to work in sales. I used to work for a sales company. I used to work for IBM, Adobe. And she said to me one day, "Hey, why don't you create some content online? Why don't you create some messaging to help support people with their identity, with their confidence, with the way you do it?" So I made a TikTok video, and that TikTok video went viral. It was just me saying to the world that I want to help, support, inspire people with my lived experiences. Still working in sales, I got an opportunity to go and talk in America. A company contacted me, a charity contacted me and said, "Hey, would you come over to Texas, San Antonio?" I didn't know where San Antonio was. I had to go and Google it. And speak at San Antonio in our next charity summit. We want you to be a keynote speaker. I went over to San Antonio. I spoke at a charity event in front of 2,000 people. It was an amazing opportunity. Lots and lots of people came over, took photographs with me, shook my hand. There were tears. They were smiling. There was a whole bag of emotions. I came back to England and told my manager this, and I said, "Hey, look, it was such an exciting opportunity. I really, really enjoyed it." And he said to me, "Hey, why don't you go to my daughter's school and share your journey about your bullying and about how you overcame bullying in school and everything?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I went to his daughter's school, and two things happened in that school which changed my life forever. Two things happened. One, there was a young girl who had one eye, but nobody knew about this. None of only the teachers knew, none of the students knew. She only had vision in one eye, just like me. And she asked me, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" I was like, "Sure." She was like, "Can you drive?" And I was like, "I can drive." And she was like, "Oh, thank God. That means I'll be able to drive when I grow older." And I thought back to my younger days. I thought back to when I was in school. I used to worry about if I'll ever be able to drive. So the fact that I gave her that piece of information really made me happy. But the second thing, and this completely made me decide that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. The second thing, a young boy came and took some pictures with me. And I thought he was just taking pictures because he had fun, he had a good time. But 2 weeks after, I found out through a school newsletter that this boy was waiting for a heart transplant. And nobody knew this. I didn't know this at the time. The school knew. And he went home and said to his mum, he wants to be a motivational speaker like the man who came to the school. I was no motivational speaker at that stage. I was just sharing my story. And that inspired me to leave my sales job. I went back to my boss and said, "I'm leaving." And I started to become an advocate. I went to school, started speaking, and that's when Born Different was born. I wrote my examples of how I felt in school and what happened, and I put it into a book, and I never released it. I never released it again because I was scared of that acceptance piece.
Yeah.
And recently, very recently, I was subjected to some discrimination in a coffee shop. I
Mm-hmm.
went to a coffee shop and I was denied service. They said they're not serving anymore. They're closed. They weren't. There were customers there, and the staff just ignored me, and I had to leave. And I came out thinking, you know what? I have to release Born Different. Born Different is not just a book. Born Different is a
Mm-hmm.
movement for people to
It
learn
sure
about
is.
acceptance. I want people to learn, anyone who's ever been bullied, anyone who's ever felt lonely, to read Born Different and understand that when we accept who we are, when we embrace our personality, great things happen. So that's me. That's how I got to where I am. I am now an international speaker. I travel around the world. I talk about resilience. I talk about confidence. I talk about success. I wrote a book, like that's how you saw me, and this
Mm-hmm.
has already sold over almost 1,000 copies. It's not even been 7 days it's released. Last
Mm-hmm.
time I checked, I think I'd sold over 800 copies. So yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. That's my sort of my story from the beginning to now. Sorry if
Mm.
I've taken so long to explain it, but
No.
that is me.
The one, it's not. There's no. That's not necessary to apologize. Amit. Like, I'm fully in awe of who you are and which you've overcome. Bullying peace. I am an advocate against bullying. I was bullied as well for a long time, and like people see me and they see this confidence and they see what I represent, who I am, and how I can speak with such clarity and such conviction that it could be perceived that he had an easy life, but I did not, man. Like, a lot of what I endured, I kept to myself. I was quite clandestine in that sense, and I became more of I guess, an individual being when I graduated high school. And even then, I was still just trying to find my way. I didn't find my way until 2008, where there was a glimpse of me in the entertainment business when I don't know, I was with my my stepfather at the time, and he brought me to some hotel where there was a conference of some sort for actors and for models, and he brought me there, and immediately I recognized that I had some sort of a connection with it. I grew up with these creative ideas because I had gotten bullied for such a long time. I'm talking from sixth grade all the way up into the 12th grade, and I don't know how many years that is. Theoretically, you would think it's 6 years, but it may have been a little longer.
Mm,
But I know that I stayed quiet. A lot of what helped me was creating these worlds in my head, playing it out with my younger sister and my younger brother, or watching WWF at the time turned WWE, or Pokemon or animes or cartoons, and just that was my world I created, and I connected with a lot of these things. That's what helped me get through a lot of that. But I just, until I found my way, until I started to find my voice, it wasn't helpful. I really found my voice when I went to boot camp, when I joined the Air Force, the U.S. Air Force, and I started to be able to lead men and women with just the sound of my voice, and I realized there was something there. So, like, much like yourself, it's okay. You're a busy man. No worries. Much like yourself, I can definitely relate. Not from the like practicality, physical part, but that's where my son comes in place. Where I'm looking to you. This is, to me, it's not a simple interview. It's more of a conversation, but this is more of me. Okay, I'm pulling from a man who's definitely has gone through it, from standpoints that I won't ever understand. So I wanted to ask you about your book, right? If you could show it again, because I definitely want people to get a good glimpse of that. Born Diff. Yep, there we go. Amit Ghosh. So Amit Ghosh. So Ghosh. There we go. Sorry, Amit
yeah,
Ghosh. So
yeah.
there are so many avenues that people can take when it comes to their books, right? For you, did you go through a traditional publisher, or did you do this on your own?
I did this on my own, and like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I wrote this book 2 years ago, and I reached out to a lot of publishers, and a lot of publishers promised me the world, but then it just didn't seem feasible in terms of what the upfront cost for me would be to pay them. Born Different self-publishing allowed me to just get the book on Amazon just like that, and through my following that I had, I could just push it out and get the momentum I needed.
Oh yeah, and sometimes it's all it is. One thing I've learned right about publishers as a whole, whether they're traditional publishers like one of the big five or an indie publishing house, is if you as the author or you as the writer have a massive following, it's almost not necessary to go through those publishers unless you just want more distribution across the country or across the world where they can get you or the proverbial you into these stores that you may not necessarily have access to. But the good thing about publishing now is that there's such an abundance of resources that you can use that can allow you to literally have distribution globally, that you don't need a traditional publisher in order to achieve that. You have already set ablaze your own trail, have a beautiful family, and you have a wonderful, wonderful spirit that people will naturally gravitate towards
Yeah.
you. And it's unfortunate what happened at that store, right? How they turned you away, um, just because of what you look like, and that's not right. No matter how you slice it, and I can't begin to even think that what you must have felt like the amount of issues that you may have dealt with, even from a mental health standpoint, I'm sure was a struggle. But
Yeah.
I guess what was it, right, that you told yourself no more? This is it. I'm not taking this anymore. From here on out, I know how. I mean, I know you mentioned you want to be a motivational speaker, but like, I guess what was that moment that told you that I'm not taking this anymore. I'm doing this for me and for the people.
I think it was. See, I always had this can do, get on with it attitude. And that can do, get on with it attitude came from the way my family and my parents brought me up. You know, they never really made the condition the forefront of anything. Like, I'll tell you a story. So I said I like playing cricket, and my father bought me my bat and a cricket ball. And my uncle came home one day and said to me, and my dad, "Oh, why are you letting him play cricket? Look at his face. What if the ball hits his face? What if it gets worse?" And my dad's response was, "If my boy wants to play cricket, he wants to play cricket."
Oh, yeah.
And I think those it was the combination of those moments in my life that brought me up to where I am now to say this is me, take it or leave it.
Hmm.
And that post that I did on social media and my wife's encouragement, when I got those responses back from people to say, "Hey Amit, you're really making a difference to my life." There was one particular incident where a young girl from South Africa
Hmm.
messaged me and she said she's got the same condition as me, but she's got tumors that grow on her legs, and she wants to go swimming, but she can't because she feels scared. And that's when I thought my cricket story, and I shared the cricket story with her. And she said thank you and went off, and I thought that was it. But she came back after 2 weeks and she sent me a picture of her Facebook, and it was in her in a swimming suit saying, "This is, this is me, proud. I'm visibly different and proud."
Hmm.
It's those moments that said to me, "This is what I've got to keep doing. This is me now. I have to keep spreading the awareness. I have to keep talking about my condition. I have to keep
Hmm.
talking about my challenges because people can resonate." And disability or no disability, someone doesn't have to have a visible difference to relate to my steps or my story. We all suffer from insecurity.
Absolutely. And you reminded me of something. When I was talking to one of my buddies, I had him on the show actually, maybe 2 weeks ago. His name is Sam Humphrey, and he has what he calls a different ability. He doesn't view disabilities as disabilities, but different abilities is what they call them. And I like that. I like that. But he was talking to me about just what he endured too growing up. And he had a special that I watched, and it's heartbreaking, man. It's just heartbreaking. People almost see this version of who you are currently, and it can almost be almost celebrity like or superhero like. But the soul and the human, it hurts still, man. Like the fact that you still remember that story about them saying you don't need a Halloween costume, you have it right there. You no need for it, or people turning you away at the store, or you not getting picked, or getting picked last, or just being overlooked altogether. There's still that. There's still that inside. It's almost like having a chip on your shoulder. You know, I think it's easy for people to try to feel sorry for people who go through that. But I saw that you are encouraged, like, don't feel bad for me, and I think that's important to note. But why do you feel, right, that people shouldn't feel bad for you? Instead, why should they instead be inspired by you?
I think we all have our stories.
Yes,
We all
sir.
have our stories. We all have our tales that can inspire, and that's what should be celebrated. It's
Yeah.
about celebrating. It's not about feeling sorry for one another.
Hmm.
By you feeling sorry for me, you're not going to empower me to do anything.
Right.
But you celebrating what I'm doing is going to empower me. You coming to me and saying, "Hey, that message you just said there, Amit, that's helped me. That's what's going to change my. That's what's going to help me and lift me." So you feeling sorry for me is just gonna make things worse and really make it a reality that I am different. So
Hmm.
that's why I don't want the pity or the let's feel sorry for this man. Don't, because I'm here on a mission. I'm here to actually change the narrative.
Hmm. Exactly. Changing the narrative. That's the key point right there. It's changing the narrative because you ultimately are the ultimate advocate when it comes to what you want to do. Speaking of advocate, really quick, I gotta shout out your wife. What's her name?
Piali, Piali.
Piali. If you are listening to this, thank you so much. One, it because see, I look at my wife, right? My wife, Melissa, and like for where we are, for who we are, just as individuals, you always have a rock on your side, and if you don't, at some point you may have one, or you may have had one and you're recovering from it. But nonetheless, there's somebody out there that is supportive of you, and my wife, and I'm sure your wife as well, are those who are some of the strongest advocates for us. But Pilates, you said, sir?
Piali, Piali.
Piali.
Yeah.
Oh, Piali. I'm thinking Pilates. Like my wife got me doing Pilates workouts, man. Piali, thank you so much. For what you're doing for Amit. I'm sure for yourself. It takes a lot of strength to do it. To be able to feel that this is my husband and this is what he represents. And I love him for who he is as a person and for nothing else. That type of love helps so much. I know you earlier, Amit, spoke about, a lot of the time, many of us, we seek validation. And I know for me, sometimes I seek validation from my wife, not for like little things like, hey, look, I cleaned up the house, I cleaned this up, I cleaned, nothing like that. But sometimes you get insecure, and your wife or your partner in any circumstances there to reassure you. But how has she been for you? Like, how has her presence, her love, and her partnership for you been for you as a person that has propelled you to this level that you are at currently?
I think it's more than words that can describe,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, had she not encouraged me to make that first video, had she not encouraged me to say, hey, stop showing me half of your face, had she not encouraged me when I left my job to say, yeah, do it, because it was a big decision to leave my job. Me being the only earner, to leave my we'd just bought a new house, we had mortgage to pay, and I just left my job just like that, with no idea of where my next paycheck's going to come from. I had no idea how I was going to pay the mortgage. I had no
Mm,
idea how I was going to bring food to the table, but I did it. And at that time, friends helped. I started a GoFundMe campaign, and my followers helped. People helped me get through that time because the impact, the value was there. So she followed me. She supported me. She was a rock all the way through those moments in my life to say, you know what, you've got this. You can do it. Had she not done that, I wouldn't have been here, because had she said, no, you got to go to work, how are we going to pay the bills? I would have had to go to work, because I would have had to support her with that, because she was right. But she believed in me. She believed that actually this man can go and do something. And
mhm.
because she believed it, I also believed it. So her support was priceless.
That's paramount, and that's so it's so important. I had to point that out. I really, I had to mention that because you can get on to like many shows, many platforms, and I'm sure you've already set a blaze, you've already done your thing. But to me, what's so important, not just about the message, right? Because obviously we all have a story, and some other stories may resonate more with other people, but we always got to peel the curtain back and see who's back there operating from behind the camera. That person should also be recognized as a huge proponent in the not just the success of the member, because ultimately it comes down to the person to do it, but having that sort of backing, that sort of support, that's paramount, man. And your wife doing what she did, taking a chance, was incredible. Now, any children? Do you all have any children?
No, not yet, not yet. We're going through. So the other part of my condition is that there's a 50% chance that my children will have neurofibromatosis.
Hmm.
So we are going through IVF. So if any of your listeners can give us send us some good wishes, keep us in their prayers. That's what we need right now. We're going through
Oh,
IVF journey, and fingers
mhm.
crossed that it's positive this time.
Fingers crossed. So everyone out there who's watching this video, and whenever you watch it, please send out all of your energy out there for Piali and for Amit, for them to have this baby or children, or however they want for their family. Nothing but good vibes, nothing but great energy.
Thank
And
you.
to, yeah, of course. I'll make sure that this part specifically, I will make sure that this clip will be one of the clips that is shared, because that's a poignant moment. I believe that you would be an incredible father, and your wife would be an incredible mother, and you two have just shown, just in the pursuit of one another, of how you all came together, and pretty much one's in India, one's in the UK, and how you all still came together as one. I must say, man, I have to say that you are so courageous in the idea that you said, I'm out. Like, you went to your job and said, I'm doing this. That movement, that little, that I won't say little, but that gesture, I'm telling you, man, many people stop at the idea of wanting to pursue it, for sure. They have this thought that I want to do it. I really feel in my heart that I just want to go out there and change the world in what I feel connected with, but they stop because they're afraid. And they always go back and forth. Should I or should I not? And then it's been a week, it's been a month, it's been a year, it's been 5 years, and they're still going back and forth with it. And you sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith and see where it takes you. If you have a calling for something and it keeps drawing you in, chances are you should probably follow in that path. Was it, how scary was it for you, if at all, when you pulled out and you realized that, yep, I'm out. Dang, you know what? When we don't really have much money, but I'm gonna figure this out. Like, what was your mindset during that time?
I think my mindset was always it's going to work out. It's going to work out. And there's some great books that help me across, Compound Effect, Think and Grow Rich, How to Make Friends and Influence People. All these books really, really supported me during that time because I knew if I keep going, it's going to happen. It's
Yeah.
about that energy. All I wanted to do was create impact and add
Mhm.
value. That was my tagline. I want to
Yeah.
create impact and add value. If I can do those two things succinctly, it will fall into place.
So, got a special guest,
Oh, hello there.
my baby boy. This is the second time he came on when I had my boy Ferdinand on, and then my niece Ariana, I had her on and he came and he somehow knew I wasn't in there. But okay, cool.
Bless him. Hello.
But no, thank you, Mister. This is Noah. Noah, say hi.
Noah, hello. I hope
But he's
Noah
gonna be.
enjoys the book when he reads it.
Oh yes. So speaking of which, about your book, what's the age range for your book?
Wow.
The,
So when I wrote it, it was for maybe ages between 4 and 12. But I've had adults messaging me that they've read the book and it's impacted them. The day before it released, I took a copy into work, and my colleague was reading it, and
hmm
she started crying whilst reading it, and I was like, "Why are you crying?" And she was like, "This book is so relevant. My boy has eczema and dry skin, and
hmm
he comes home sometimes and hugs me and says, "Why do I look like this?" And there's a page in the book where I go home as Amit and cry with my mother about my face being like this. And yeah, this is the impact. So, the age range was 12, sorry, 4 to like 12, but now it's like anybody and everybody. Anybody who's ever been subjected to bullying, anyone who's ever been subjected to loneliness, this book is for them. And breaking news for you only and your podcast, this is the first time I'm mentioning it. I have another book which is releasing in November.
Oh,
Just
yes.
in the process of finishing it. This book is aimed at adults, and
Okay.
it's called Under the Skin, and it's the four principles that I spoke to you about, the four principles of
Mhm.
success, and how we can apply that in our daily life. So it's for anybody who's insecure, anybody who doesn't feel confident.
Oh, that's
To
awesome.
go through and put it together. So watch out, November that's releasing. If there's any
November.
publishers listening
Oh,
who want to get involved early, I've already sold 800 copies of this book, so who knows what's going to happen to that book. So yeah,
oh. It's a compound effect, man. It's called, what is it called?
Under the Skin.
Under the Skin. Thank you for breaking that news, and I'm looking forward to reading that one, and I'm also looking forward to Born Different as well. So, where can people find that book?
Born Different is available on Amazon. Yeah, just literally go onto Amazon, type in Born Different, my name, and it comes up. Like I said, it's actually what was really shocking. I looked the other day, and it was in the top 250 books on Amazon. And just to put that into perspective, there's a million books on Amazon. So to be in the top 250 is insane. And
Yeah.
I think I'm second ranked in children's literature at the moment. And
Oh,
I've been there for the last 3 or 4 days, and these numbers fluctuate on an hourly basis. So for
yep,
me to consistently be on the second ranked for children's literature speaks volumes. There's also 25 reviews on there so far, all of which are 5 stars. I've not had any other
yeah.
star reviews. So if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, if you've not ordered the book, really, this book isn't just a book for me. It's a movement. It's my
It's a
life.
movement.
Yeah.
It's a movement. How much does it cost?
So in the UK, it's $8.99. In US, I think it's $12.99.
Very nice.
But I'm actually just thinking of, because I said this is a movement. This is not about the money. This is not about anything but impact. I'm thinking of reducing the price as well. So watch this space. It may even go down slightly.
Oh, hey, man, like however you decided, the cool thing about doing it on your own, and I know a lot about what you're speaking about, is you can do what you want to do when you want to do it and how you choose to pursue it. And thank you for sharing that information with Born Different. That's incredible, man. That where you're sitting at on the ranks,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that as it continues to collect more revenue, not that is about the revenue because it's not, but that specifically being able to collect more revenue, Amazon will see that and it continues to push it out. To me, I'm with you. The movement is is what matters more so than the price tag and more so than the revenue. But that's also a good addition to help fund your next project that you have coming out. Now, this book, are there tons of illustrations throughout the book? But
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
many.
Every page has an illustration with it.
There it is. Okay.
Every single
How,
page has an
yes,
illustration.
sir.
And the
How was
first
it
page,
working?
right?
Oh, yep. This book belongs. I love that. How was it working with an illustrator? Did you work with an illustrator for this
I
book?
didn't. This is something I want to address because I've had a lot of people sending me comments about my illustration being created by artificial intelligence. Um, I went out to a lot of illustrators, and a lot of illustrators gave me quotes. I didn't have a lot of money when I wrote this book. I told you I left my job to do this. This is for impact.
Hmm.
So I went into AI and I said to AI, I want to write a book, or I've wrote a book called Born Different. This is the story of it. And this is me, and I need a character drawn. And it came up with this character. And this character reflects me so well
Yeah.
uh, that I had to go with it in the end. And I
Hmm.
understand some of the reservations people have about using AI, and there's comments on my social media when you go and open it, and you'll see those. But I've been very, very transparent with people to say, yes, I did, and this is the reason. In the future, if there's anyone listening, any illustrators listening who want to get involved with a project with me, please reach out and we'll do it together. But I just didn't have the ability or the funds to do it at that time.
Hey, I mean, hey, however you get it is however you get it, as long as the story is being told. AI is an interesting topic, especially in today's era. But that's what I was mentioning, right? It's no matter what, it's the story. What truly matters most? Oh, I'm sure you're going to have people who are going to want to work with you and collaborate with you. AI, not AI. Sorry, I was going to say AI collaborations, but illustrators. I know personally on with my connections that I have. I'm deeply embedded within the publishing industry and the entertainment industry, but I know a lot of artists, man. And so I'm sure somebody's gonna bite the bullet on wanting to collaborate with you, if not for anything else, to be able to say that I had an opportunity to work with such an incredible human being. I know you got about 13 minutes left before you have to head out of here, so I'll just ask you just a couple more questions before I let you go. No, he's been so good. By the way, for those who see my baby boy right here, this is not Abel. This is one of three of my children. He's a twin. His twin brother is asleep still, somehow, some way. My oldest son is 10. Abel, that's his name. He's not, but yeah. So a couple of more questions I'm gonna ask. One is, also thank you for sharing the information about your book and where people can purchase it. So I'll make sure I will link a direct link to where they can purchase your book at, just to help continue to spread the word and continue to
Thank you.
support the movement. Yes, sir. And I'm gonna also make sure, like, I tag some of my buddies. Sam, as I mentioned earlier, just what you represent is exactly the same representation as what he represents. So I'm gonna reach out to him and see if he'd be willing to spread the word to his community. I say his community, but everyone's in the same community with this. But um, I guess what what is your hope, right, with everything, right? I know you're writing your books, you have your inspiration for you personally. um and there's probably a question later on after you have children, but when you have children, and if your child ends up being born in the same blessed manner as you have been, what's your message to he or she?
That's a really deep, profound question, and I think it's about leaving a legacy,
Yeah.
leaving something behind that people can really tangibly pick up and say, I see that and I want to do that. Like
Hmm.
this book, Born Different, it's going to leave a legacy. It's going to help people. If I had this book when I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, would have helped me, would have said, hey, yeah, I'm different and I'm proud of being different. So for me, I want to say to my children, I want to say anyone listening, think in a way that you can leave a legacy. Do something that people will remember you for far, far, far in time when you're not even here. That's the goal. That's the mission.
Legacy. It's always down to the legacy, you know? And I'm holding my son right now. I'm sure this would be you in like 1 to 2 years. But that's one of the things that I think about too, is like, what do I want to leave behind for him? You know, like, truly for me, what do I want to pass down? And I think, like, when I created this show, with the Authors Lounge, there was a lot of hesitancy that I felt, Amit, when I was even in the creative process of, like, how do I do this? Everyone has a podcast. I'm a writer. I write books. I write children's books. I write poetry, and fiction. And what can I add? Like, what value can I truly add to it? I look around. I look at the platform within publishing or within entertainment. I'm like, okay, so there's not many people who look like me, right? Just, as a black dude in this medium, that has the ability to reach out to as many people. I'm sure there are people, but there's just, the truth is, it's just not, the ratio is just not massive, and that's okay. But I've learned to, like, navigate around it, because I'm not someone who says, hey, where's my opportunities? I just create my own, and see what happens from it. But I was really nervous, man, like in doing it. And I think what helped me was the message. Like, what message do I want to convey? And that's exactly it. Just to inspire and educate, man. Like, I don't ask for any money. I don't charge anybody. And the people who have come on have been just so wonderful, including yourself. And I'm just so grateful. So I'll ask you one more question, and I want to stay longer, but I'm respecting your time. And I'm sure we'll continue to stay in touch. But man, let's see, what can be an impactful last question? What what's the for those who want to create, or those who want to, they're in that job, right? And it's holding them back, and they just want to get out there and live who they truly want to become. What is your advice to that person, or to those people who just want to get started but they feel stuck?
It's a great question, and I would ask them to go and listen to a gentleman called Simon Sinek.
Oh
And
yes.
he
Yeah.
talks about the why. When you find the why, everything else falls into place.
Hmm.
I was working in sales. I was happy. I was on a trajectory to become the head of sales for a major law firm. But then I found my why, and everything fell into place. And now I couldn't be happier. So anybody who is feeling stuck, don't leave until you found your why. Because if you haven't found your why and you leave, you're just not going to get anywhere. I use this analogy, and it's a really good one. Is if there were two buildings and you were 3, 4 meters high, and they were about a meter away from each other, so you could jump quite easily, but it's quite high. Would you jump if someone just told you to jump? Probably not, because the risk of that 1 meter is too big. But
Hmm.
now, if you had something you love dearly on the other side that you had to go and save, like your child, your son, your daughter, would you make that jump? Everybody would say, yes, absolutely, I will. What changed? The distance between the two buildings haven't changed. What has changed is the why. So when your why becomes greater than the thing that you're trying to achieve, everything else falls into place. My why is that I want to create impact and add value to this world using my lived experiences. And I'm going to hold on to that and do everything I can to make it happen. I work relentlessly hard. I work relentlessly hard. I've got my day job. I work for the National Health Service in the United Kingdom as a diversity, equity, inclusion business partner. I'm a full time husband, and I'm also doing this advocacy. But I absolutely love every second of it, and I don't know where the next 6 months, 12 months, 24 months will be for me, but it's definitely one to watch. Definitely. So, for your listeners that want to follow me, Amit Ghosh NF1, follow me, support me, send some encouragement.
That is beautiful, man. That's incredible. I had an opportunity to see Simon Sinek live back in
Wow.
2020. Yeah, 20 no, or 2020. It was the year Kobe Bryant passed away, and it was actually like a week after he had passed, and I had a chance to go there and I saw Simon Sinek live. Just I never met him. One of my goals is to meet him. And whether or not I have him on the show, it's up for the universe. I would just love to talk to the guy. Like, he's just an incredible human being. And that book you mentioned, Think and Grow Rich, I've actually read that book. And that seems to be like a staple for entrepreneurs as well, is to read that book, or anybody who has an entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah.
Um, is also a great book to recommend. But the best book I would say to check out is Born Different. So
Thank
definitely
you.
check out, yes, sir. Definitely check out Amit's book. I'll make sure I link his social media into this episode. For those who are listening to the audio only version of this book, of this episode, and you weren't able to see the imagery of this, please feel free to click the YouTube link that's in the bio of this, in the description of this episode, and it'll link you directly to this. But I'll also have his information there too, so everything will be exactly the same. So you won't miss out on an opportunity to connect with Amit. Hey man, if you could just stay, I'm gonna close it out here, but before you go officially, I'm just gonna ask you just a quick question. But outside of that, hey, thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to tune in to today's episode. Amit, it was such a pleasure.
No,
Such a
thank you.
pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure being here. Absolutely pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. You're a wonderful person. And thank you as well to your wife and to your beautiful family and to your just being such a wonderful human being. And for the advice you provided, I'm certainly going to take that to my oldest son and let him watch this episode when I air it as well. He's going to love it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hey, you all take care and I'll catch you next time.